Okay, we'll be taking our string height measurements at the 12th fret, and I'm going to be using Gibson specs for this. Gibson would suggest 5/64ths on the low E and 3/64ths on the high E string. And because this is my guitar and I've played it and I know I can get away with lower action on this guitar, personally, I've found that 4/64ths and 3/64ths on the high E are the sweet spot for this guitar and for the way I like to play it. So we're just going to slightly go off of what Gibson was recommending. And, you know, the only reason I use the Gibson specs is because this guitar is obviously based off a Gibson Les Paul. So the scale length, and, you know, basically the whole design of the guitar is quite similar to a Les Paul. So if you're unsure of where to start or what height setting to use, go with the Gibson spec and play it, see if you like it. If you're finding it's a little difficult to play, you can maybe get away with lowering it. If you have some buzzing when you're playing on these strings and you're moving up and down the neck and you're noticing buzzing, you may have to raise that string height a little bit. So I'm not expecting to make any serious adjustments here. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Right at 4/64ths there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think we need to make any changes here. Maybe a little. It's maybe like 3.5. It's very close to 4. Might raise it a little bit. Checking the high E side. That is a little high. That's at 4 exactly. So I'm going to drop the low E side down a little bit. Now to make height adjustments on a bridge like this. So on this type of a bridge, you're going to make your string height adjustments with this screw here and this screw here. Now, you can't make individual string height adjustments on a bridge like this. Those are the only two spots you can do it. So you raise each side of the bridge until you get it to where you want it. And the radius of this bridge and these saddles, it should match the neck radius of your guitar. You know, if everything's from, you know, stock, if you haven't made any changes, everything should be matched up to the neck radius. So in our case, we want to lower this low E string down a little bit because it's a bit high. Or I'm sorry, the high E string. We want to lower that one down a little bit. So in order to lower it, we're going to tighten the screw. I'm going to turn it clockwise. And I'm not going to go very much. Like, let's do a half a turn. Okay. Now, what that does is that tightening that screw brings this bridge closer to the body. So you're lowering the string height. Okay. Now, if you were raising this string height by turning the screw counterclockwise, I would suggest you would want to take some tension off this string, just detune it a little bit, because you don't want this thing to be raising up so high that you might risk breaking the string if it's under tension, like if you've got it tuned to pitch, right? So it's just a precaution. You know, you don't want to break the brand new string you just put on. So I'm going to check my string height again at the 12th fret. I'm just going to quickly do it. I'm not going to move the camera. And we are, very, very close to 3/64ths. So I'm just going to raise it a touch because I went down a little too far. So let's just say a quarter turn counterclockwise like that. And checking again. Perfect. So we are at 3/64ths on the high E. And just rechecking the low E, we are at 4/64ths. Yeah. Okay. So we don't have to make any adjustments on this side of the bridge here because everything's fine. I thought it was a little bit off at first, but it might have just been the angle because of where I had the camera position. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see because it's right in my line of sight, but we're good there. And I think the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at this tailpiece here. So let me just move the camera over a little bit. So now that I've got the height set, I should double check the tuning because we definitely altered the tuning by moving that bridge around. So Yeah, we're a little bit flat, so let me just quickly retune the guitar. So the guitar's up to pitch now. And first thing you want to do is give a visual inspection. Make sure that your strings are not touching the bridge as they come across the saddle here. Okay, I'll move the camera down so you can get a better look at this. Check it on both sides, high and low E string, because you don't want those strings resting on that bridge. Okay, so I can tell just from a visual that we have got plenty of room there. Best way to check, and this is a very common little trick that guys use, is just get a piece of paper and slide it underneath the string against the bridge, just like that. So you should be able to slide the paper in there. If you can't, your string is touching that bridge, you need to raise this tail piece up, okay? And I'm going to check it on the other side too. Yeah, we got lots of room there. So if you recall, when I took this tailpiece off in part one, I needed to raise these posts up in order to remove that stop piece because of the recessed cavity that it sits in, okay? So I knew that I would have to come back and make some adjustments there. So I'm going to use my Canadian quarter trick right here. And I can't move those nuts, or those screws, I'm sorry, because the string tension, everything is pulling on this right now. So in order to tighten these, I'm going to have to loosen the tension off all these strings and just drop this down a little bit. I could probably leave it, but I think I want to lower it just to get this break angle a little sharper. Okay. So let me just quickly do that. And I'm just going to do, take about 4 turns on every string and see if that gives me enough to tighten this down. Yeah, so that was all it needed, just to remove some of that tension. And I'm going to turn this one about the same. Okay, we still got a fair bit of room, but keep in mind the string tension is significantly less. But I seem to remember this thing sitting quite low into the cavity, so I'm just going to tighten it down a little more before I retune it to pitch. Now let's give this one another turn. Okay, so we're definitely getting closer there. We still got lots of room. Yeah. Okay, let me retune the guitar. Okay, I got the guitar tuned up now. And we still have plenty of room there. The break angle looks pretty good to me. I don't even need to use the piece of paper because I can visually see we've got plenty of room there. And I think that should be fine. Yeah, I think we're okay there. Yeah, we should be fine. Okay, I've got this adjusted almost right to the body. I can feel them getting can feel the screws tightening up. So I could go a little more, but I think that's fine. We've got a nice angle here on these strings, and I can see. I don't even need to use the paper, but we still got plenty of room there, both sides. Yeah, we got lots of room. So yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. I think we should be fine. We've got enough of a gap between our strings and the bridge. The break angle here looks good, and yeah, I think we're fine. Okay, that should do it for that. Okay, before we get started with setting the intonation, I just wanted to point out I made a little mistake earlier in the video. I had put this bridge on, well, backwards in this scenario. I had the intonation adjustment screws here at the back facing the pickups on this side of the bridge. Now that's normally where I would place those the styles of bridges, like the screws would face towards the pickup. But in this case, because the tailpiece is sitting so low, we can reach the screws with our adjustments, with our screwdriver to make adjustments there. And you can't really reach them from this way because the pickup rings and the pickup sits so high, and this bridge sits so low because of these recesses in the body, right? So if you were to try and get a screwdriver in to adjust those, like you can sort of see there in the photo, you would have to kind of get at a goofy angle like this, and then you risk the screwdriver slipping and maybe marring that gold finish a bit, right? So that's just a force of habit for me. Most of my guitars, they are facing the other way for the opposite reason, because you can't reach the screws from the back because the tailpiece is higher, right? That's in your way. But in this case, because of those recesses, we've got the adjustment screws on the back. So all I did was I just loosened the string tension off, lifted the bridge, flipped it around, dropped it back down. I retweaked the string height settings just to make sure nothing had changed. I quickly checked the intonation. Actually, the guitar is really intonated really well. There's only one string that really needs an adjustment, and that's the G string. So I thought I'd record that adjustment for those of you who are new to this and looking to make adjustments on this Tune-O-Matic style bridge. So with that out of the way, let me just move the camera so you can get a better view of what I'm doing here. Okay, I was just checking to make sure it's actually the D string we need to make our adjustment on, not the G string. So it's the D string that's a little bit flat when we check for intonation. So when we do intonation setups, we want to make sure the entire guitar is in tune. Okay, all your open strings need to be tuned to pitch. And then what we do is we take our finger and depress at the 12th fret and then pluck the string. And then we do the harmonic at the 12th fret on the same string, and they should all be in tune with each other. So if you watch my tuner over here, you'll see on the D string what I'm talking about. And once I'm done, I'll zoom the camera out and show you physically what I'm doing with my hands. I can't get it all in the frame so you can see the tuner at the same time. So if we play our open note, we're in tune. There we go. And we depress the note at the 12th fret, and you can see we're a little flat. And if I do the harmonic at the 12th fret, it's also a little flat. A little bit. So when the saddle is flat like that, we need to move it, or I'm sorry, when the note is flat like that, we need to move the saddle towards the headstock. So we want to move the saddle this way, okay? In order to do that, we're going to need to turn our adjustment screw counterclockwise. So I'm just going to use this little screwdriver here, get it underneath the string, and I'm going to detune your string a little bit before you make any adjustments. It just makes it easier to do. And I like to lift the string a little bit with my other hand. And I'm just going to turn the saddle just a little bit, or turn the screw a little bit. And then we retune our string to pitch. We'll check it again at the 12th fret. There we go. And we'll check the harmonic at the 12th fret as well. Perfect. And as I said earlier, the rest of them are fine. And since we're talking intonation and we're looking at the bridge, I'll just show you really quick. If you look really closely at the saddles here, specifically the D string here, when I made that adjustment, moving the saddle to the left towards the pickup here, I could feel it starting to push against the actual bridge itself, which tells me there's really no adjustment room left going towards the pickups. Plenty of adjustment room back here if you needed to tighten that screw and pull the saddle back towards the tailpiece. But in this case, we're almost as far as we can go. Now, if your saddle is like this and you're finding that you still need to go further to the left to get your intonation correct, what you can do is remove the bridge completely, and you can undo these screws and remove the saddle. Now, depending on the type of bridge you have, you may have like a retaining clip inside here, which this particular bridge does have, but it's kind of difficult to see because it's quite small. I'll see if I can get it in the camera there. Yeah, you can sort of see them there. They're at the back here. It looks like a little washer, a little silver washer inside there, just below where my stick is. So that little retaining clip is what's holding that screw into the bridge. So remove your bridge, undo that screw all the way, and you'll have to hold that retaining clip in order to remove the screw completely from the bridge. Then you'll be able to take this saddle right out. And then what you can do is flip it around the other way so it looks more like this one here, right? So in this case, the D string, the angled part of the saddle is right here below my stick. If you look at the G string, the angled part is back here facing the tailpiece. Now, if you flip that saddle around, you'll get a little bit more of adjustment room. And that's a little trick you can try. And sometimes these clips are instead of these clips, you'll have a retaining bar on the back of the screws. Now, there's no retaining bar here, obviously, because each individual screw has its own clip. But sometimes you'll see a thin metal bar running on top of the adjustment screws, and it's just held in at the bridge with a little hole, and it's literally just the tension holding it in place. So you may need to get a pair of needle nose or a fine screwdriver and work that retaining bar loose. Then you'll be able to remove your screws, and then you'll be able to remove your saddle and flip your saddle around. But it is something you can do yourself if you if you're feeling confident. It's not too difficult, but if you've never done it before, just be careful and be aware that those little clips are very, very small. You know what? I'll see if I can. I think I have some. Hold on. Let me stop the video. Okay, this is a style of retaining clip that you may see on a bridge like I'm working on right now. This is probably the size you're going to see. I've got this larger one here just so you can get a better look at it, but it's the exact same style of clip. It's just a smaller size, this one here. So looking at this one, your screw would come through the middle here, and this piece would prevent it from sliding out or moving around, and that would basically hold that screw into the bridge itself. So you will need to remove this type of a retaining clip to get that screw out, to remove that saddle and flip it around, okay? But again, it's going to be very small, more like something like this one, so you don't want to drop it and lose it somewhere. So just be aware of that. And I do have another style of bridge with the retaining clip on it, just to show you what I was talking about. So if you look, you'll see it clips in down here and over at the other end here. And then the bar just runs over top of the screws. Okay, so let me just kind of slowly turn the bridge so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and there are no retaining clips in this style of bridge. It's just this little bar, retaining bar that runs over top. Okay, so sometimes they can be a little tricky to get out. You just need to use either a very fine screwdriver or a pair of needle nose or something to unhook the clip from one end, then the other, then the bar will just lift right out. But be aware that bar is holding in all the screws for all 6 saddles. So just be aware of that. Sometimes, like this one here, has got openings in the top. So once this bar is gone, the screw and the saddle assembly will just lift right out. So if you were to flip it upside down, they're all going to fall out. Okay, so just be aware of that. The one with the retaining clips, whatever saddle you're dealing with, that's the one you want to remove. The other ones should be fine. They shouldn't just fall out because that clip should hold everything in place. But just something to be aware of. Easier to show you on this one than trying to explain it over the video. Okay, next up is the pickup height settings. And I drop these pickups into the cavities a little bit. I like to do that So when I set the intonation and stuff, I don't want the pickups interfering, because sometimes if the pickups are too close to the strings and you're trying to do your intonation settings and stuff, the magnets in the pickups may affect the strings vibration. That's really only a factor if they're super close, and they're not here. But I do need to raise them up because I know they are low. So starting with the bridge pickup, or I'm sorry, the neck pickup, what you want to do is depress your string at the last fret like that. And then you want to take your ruler or whatever you're using to measure and go on top of the pull piece or screw, depending on kind of pickup you have. Well, I'm going to be aiming for 5/64ths on the low E string and about 3/64ths on the high E string. So I like to put my measuring ruler on top of the actual pull piece or screw, depress the string, and this guitar is around, looks like it's around 5.5 64ths. So it's got to come up a little bit. So in order to do that, in this case, we're using a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to turn our adjustment screw here clockwise. Go to full turn. Take our measurement again. Very close. A little bit more. And again. I could probably come down a little bit. And all these measurements are always guidelines. Just a good starting point. So yeah, we're about 5 there. Yeah, it looks 5. It may not look like it on the video because of the angle and the shadow, but it's measuring at 5. And the high E string looks like it's about 4, so it's got to come up as well. Process is exactly the same. Turn your screw clockwise to raise the pickup, counterclockwise to lower it. And oh, perfect. That is 3/64ths on the high E. Okay. And I'll do the exact same thing for the bridge pickup. Same procedure, same measurements, 5/64ths, 3/64ths on the high E. Now, once this is all done, I will play the guitar and make sure they're balanced. I will check with the pickup selector here, back and forth, make sure that they're equally balanced. You want them to sound fairly close to each other as far as volume levels go, because the closer you raise your pickups to the strings, the louder it's going to be. Okay. So you're looking for a nice balance between the two. So when you flick from the bridge pickup and you flick up to the neck pickup, you don't want it to be overly loud from each other, right? For what we're doing here, we're just going to go with kind of a standard spec for these types of humbuckers here. And then the true play test is your ears. Plug it in, look for a nice balance between them, and if you're happy with that, just leave them. So I'll do the same for this pickup, and then I'll give it a quick play test and see how it sounds. Okay, all finished play testing the Aria Pro 2. I did make a slight adjustment to the neck pickup. I raised it just a little bit, just so it was a little more balanced with the bridge. Other than that, it sounds fine. It plays really great. I'm very happy with how the setup came out, and I think that'll do it for this one. So let's take one final look. I just gave it a quick cleanup and a wipe down. And yeah, really nice looking guitar. That gold hardware is in really nice shape, and those gold pickups really help with the look of the guitar with the gold hardware and stuff on it. Here's a quick look at the headstock again. I do have the truss rod cover, but I usually leave mine off because I like to make adjustments. The climate I live in, they usually need to be tweaked a little bit in the fall and in the spring, but that's just me. And yeah, we did a little bit of fret polishing in this case, and the fretboard's nice and clean. It plays really nice. Nice easy bending, feels really good when you're playing it. And that's about it for the Aria Pro 2. As far as the setup and everything on this guitar goes, we're finished now. So thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone's views, and any comments you want to leave in the comment section, please do so. And we'll see you in the next one.